loaded the Black King. He missed the key idea there. And okay, wow. Well, I think we have to pause and really applaud the fact that for Wesley So, that was a huge win of a draw, right? Some draws are more equal than others, and that was a draw that you feel like was a victory given how lost you were. So Wesley So showing his experience in this event that you don't give up for a reason. That's a huge game right there, I think, to start this match.
Yeah, definitely a difference. It doesn't feel like much, but confidence-wise, Vincent wins that game. It just goes down as an absolutely clean game, start to finish. Never really in any danger, found a lot of resourceful moves, and has the confidence that he can handle time scrambles going forward. We're looking at a little bit of a different story here where, you know, we got to see time pressure get to him a little bit, and that rook a2 move was not good. So he is human after all, Danny.
Yeah, he made a mistake there in the time pressure, which, okay, time's going to tell. Literally, time will tell as this match goes on. But we don't know Vincent Keymer's mouse speed skills. As you said, he doesn't play a lot online, especially compared to some of his peers in the younger generation. This is true. And again, we applauded Vincent for all the many skills, and I think he will be an elite player for many years to come. But we have not seen him in this event, and we haven't seen how he handles some of those scrambles. So maybe that time got to him a little bit, right? He had the time, but a little bit of nerves missed the chance to put the game away.
Yep. And this will be the something to monitor going forward in the Speed Chess Championship, and especially this match for him. But early days here, no matter what. And honestly, Wesley, even though he survived there, he doesn't have a lot to look forward to. The games that he's been playing, he's been behind in both of them. So we haven't really seen Wesley put forward a game that he would really stand behind. So I'm curious if that's going to be this game, Danny, because he's got the bishop pair. Clearly, white is slightly better. And Wesley, for the first time, has gotten out of the opening with what I would say is a position he's pretty comfortable with, but he needs to finish development, and he wishes that the pawn on c2 was actually on c3, I think. It would deal with the knight on c6 and the bishop on g7 a little bit better. So because the knight is on c3, the d4 square is just a little bit weaker than it would like to be.
Yeah. It's interesting because the specifics of the position kind of outweigh, maybe at least for the time being, the long-term features. Because we like Wesley's position long-term, right? You have the bishop pair. You're thinking about the potential of the light square bishop because there's no black counterpart to challenge. So if Wesley can solve these things like he's trying to and get this piece going, but yeah, here bishop takes c3, according to the computer, is the only move to maintain the balance. Otherwise, e5 comes, I think, and this bishop is locked out of play.
Yeah, e5 is a massive threat. And if you think of moves that deal with it, pawn to e5 from black simply allows knight d5. That doesn't look great at all. Terrible move. And then pawn to f5, first of all, allows it anyway, if not even better moves. So I don't really know what he's going to do here, but he might play knight b6 if he's not going to take on c3. Danny, I don't think a human is playing bishop takes c3 too often.
It's so hard to give up a bishop that is fianchettoed for a reason, right? It protects the king. It's on the long diagonal, but it actually was needed. And if Wesley finds e5, not only is e4 open for business, but as we already highlighted, the bishop is blocked and this bishop is open. Wesley doesn't need to be asked again. He goes for it. And I'm like,
we're going to see g5. That's a question mark to myself as well. But yeah, it's just it's the only move that makes sense with h5. Now, I don't think this is necessarily good, but from Vincent's perspective, the h5 move was bad if your plan was just to allow e5 knight e4. Terrible, because then you give up the g5 square. So while it might not be totally sound here, he's definitely trying to fully undermine that e-pawn, and that was why he played h5, h4, now g5.
Yep. It's funny because even if it doesn't work out, I do like the idea, and I love the forethought with this h5 thrust, right? He wasn't just gaining space on an h file that doesn't matter. He had already planned his approach to this. Wesley does give up the fianchettoed bishop, the move that maybe Vincent should have done before the center was closed. And now what? Okay, now he's going for this. This is nice because at the end of this tactic, if we just show a trade, the point is that at some point white will have this move bishop g5 in a lot of positions, I think. And this can become pretty awkward.
Yep, this is definitely his plan. I mean, it's been taken. I'm assuming we're going to see knight takes e5. And and then after f6, bishop takes h4. I just think Vincent has to be a little bit satisfied. Like he
Yeah.
is out of that position, which looked pretty bad. This g5 idea, I think we can call it a moderate success.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, it shows you that it's a game for a reason, right? The practical pressure you apply there, Wesley not able to solve all the problems of the dark squares, still a teeny bit better, but both kings are potentially feeling the breeze. That's not a one-sided problem. Wesley's
What about
only
f5?
real advantage is these positional maybe weaknesses here. Okay, here he goes. He goes for f5.
Yeah, f5 just looks like the move. It opens your bishop on g7. The b2 pawn is loose. I mean, white's king is just about as weak as black's king, so it's not really clear what's going on. I think that after knight c5, there's a lot of hanging pawns, so it's hard to say exactly what's going on. But from black's perspective, you have ideas like knight f4, the b2 pawn is hanging, taking on g4 continues to open things up. Rook d5 might be a nice square. So I'm trying to consider all those things, but this is a very messy position.
Yeah, it's messy because even with all those ideas, white can look to an endgame if you're not careful, get the queens off the board. The question is, what happens when the smoke clears? Will white have enough? I think Wesley thought he was playing for a win, so maybe he doesn't want to just see a massive liquidation. Knight f4, by the way, would be a move that protects e6 and does the things that you talked about.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what Vincent is calculating here.
Yeah, knight f4, queen f3 is just so kind of anticlimactic. Yeah. All you have is just thoughts of moving backwards after that. So it doesn't feel that good. And he plays knight e5, which I'm guessing is one of the best moves in the position, Danny.
What a fantastic move. It blocks the e6 pawn, so a different way to defend it than knight f4, and doubles down on the pressure of g4. Queen to g5 will be in the air with check at some point. Maybe not now, but keep an eye on it. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. There's also an idea of like rook to d6, and like if it gets taken, you take with the pawn. So it does go for your queen g5.
Yeah, he goes for. I love games like this. I was just going to say that it's a 50-50 eval bar, but that has nothing to do with the fact that this is like a blunderable position, as we call it, right? This means that there's a lot going on here. One move, and you could see that evaluation slide up for either player. It feels like white's position is actually the more dangerous one now because of the queen and knight starting to work together here.
Yeah, and we're also seeing the time creep down a little bit for Vincent to the point where it's meaningful. Rook to d5, similar idea. Normally white reserves like c4 for moments like this, but I'm not so sure. Yeah, he plays c4 now. The position just feels a little bit loose and like a bit dangerous, but okay, if he's trading on d1, that's great news for Wesley.
Yeah, super tough position to calculate. Apparently, according to the computer, instead of rook d5, black was supposed to play rook f8 right away, but I have no idea why. And at this point, it's still just as much of a mess where Vincent is bringing the pressure, but he's also the one under more time pressure.
Yeah, Vincent is also under the pressure of the position that if he doesn't kind of crack through here, white has, an amazing endgame, probably just a winning position. So he's threatening things like knight h4 here. Queen d3 looks like a decent move to get out of knight h4, but I'm just saying Vincent is all in on making some tactic work because his pawn structure is awful.
No, it's a great point, right? Vincent not only has 30 seconds, he only has a few moves to make something happen over here. You have to cash in because this endgame is just a bunch of ugly ducklings for pawns over here. And all Wesley wants to do is get the queens off the board and then show some technique.
Yep. Yeah, rook f5. He's constantly playing these moves where maybe it would improve the pawns just a little bit if Wesley captures, but he gets tempted into this one.
Yeah, I wonder if Wesley could have just taken that pawn on c7, by the way. He traded, but there was no real threat by the rook. So I saw I don't know, but maybe he could have gotten away with it. Now he has to move the knight to safety, and Vincent is still putting some pressure on the position.
Yeah, sometimes knight d2, queen d1 is like funny coordination where the queen gets in behind the position and causes some disarray. And with the queens on the board, all the chances here for Vincent. Wesley he's interested in things like knight f3, trading everything, even if he loses the b2 pawn. Exactly, because the endgames are all going to be winning.
Yeah. It shows you the power of your enemy's pawns being on the same color as your bishop. Amon highlighting some good stuff. Even if black wins that pawn, white is still winning in that endgame for those reasons. So really good lesson for the viewers there, not to just cash in on an easy pawn. Black has to keep pressure.
And it's going to get tougher and tougher to play here. I don't actually think that black needs to do anything. Yeah, because white doesn't want to take this knight on d4. And I was going to say, and allow maybe the pawn to capture. I was thinking pawn takes on d4 and queen e4 might have been a tough thing to deal with. But queen, I think, is going to go to e4 no matter what.
I think you were right. I think the computer will agree with you, but I think Vincent was biased to some idea that he still has pressure on the king, the human thing to do. But I think you're right that now actually maybe Wesley starts to untie and get some pressure, because if the pieces are forced to trade, white is still in the driver's seat in this endgame.
Mm-hmm.
I like this move, bishop f4. I don't even know why. He finally does it, because I just felt like it was the right way to fix the coordination. Yeah.
Agreed. Queen g3, but the question is now, after queen f7, basically what is the threat if Vincent just kind of hangs out in this position?
Yeah, that's fair. And maybe that's exactly what he intends to do, is just sit tight. Yeah, if Wesley could get the queens off the board, an outside pass pawn and some targets, but it doesn't look like Vincent is going to allow it. Wesley in danger of repeating, and this game will automatically be declared a draw. And on that note, it is.